This crater in the French countryside was left by the first explosion of the Battle of the Somme. We brought together two men whose families are linked to it forever. Their grandfathers were both killed on the first day.
I don't know what to say, I really do.
The Battle of the Somme, which began on July the 1st, 1916, was one of the bloodiest in human history. More than 500,000 British soldiers were amassed to attack the German trenches on the Western Front in France. They thought it was the final push to end the war, but 20,000 died in just a few hours. Paddy Butler has always known his grandfather died a hero trying to rescue his commanding officer. Patrick Butler was a sergeant in the 1st Tyneside Irish, one of the PALS battalions of volunteers who answered Kitchener's call to arms. He returned from France on leave shortly before the battle. His son, Paddy's father, was 7.
He told me that he was in the kitchen when his dad said to his mother, we're going back out there now, and give the wedding ring to his wife and his watch, and said, we won't be coming back.
That same week, 300 miles away, Sergeant Butler's commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Louis Howard, was also at home on leave to see his baby son.
He's sort of slightly out of the camera shot.
His grandchildren are now old enough to be retired. His daughter-in-law is 97.
He came home on leave and Bill was 3 months old. And then when his leave was over, he went back to the front, and that was the last time she ever saw him.
Within a few weeks of returning to France, both men were dead. Patrick Butler was shot trying to rescue the fatally wounded Louis Howard from no man's land on the first day of the battle.
What does it mean to be Irish?
A century on, the Howards and the Butlers came together again at the National Archives in Kew to see the war diary for that day.
These were completed by any unit on operational service, and they effectively give a blow-by-blow account of what's taking place.
Yeah. Written by a soldier in pencil as the battle raged, it describes the opening minutes.
1st of the 7th, 16, 7:40 a.m. The battalion under Lieutenant Colonel L.M. Howard left the assembly trenches as third wave in the attack. On leaving the trenches, the enemy opened intense machine gun fire, doing heavy damage to our troops. The battalion objective was not gained, so much assistance being needed for the battalions in front. The following officers were killed or injured. Lieutenant Colonel L.M. Howard.
The two men died at the Lochnagar crater. More than 20 tons of explosives were set off under the German front line at 7:28 a.m., marking the start of the British attack.
The village of La Boisselle, as you see it today, that was completely destroyed.
Across the valley, the soldiers of the Tyneside Irish watched the detonation from their trenches. Battlefield guides David and Julie Thompson outlined the daunting task that faced them that morning.
The critical minutes it takes the first wave to move forward, the Germans have retaken the land around the crater, critically taken the rim of the crater, and are now using that and as observation and sniping positions, looking straight into the oncoming 34th Division moving ahead of us.
The Germans had all the best positions and had survived days of shelling. Some of the Tyneside Irish reached the crater, but 6 out of 10 were dead or injured. The commanding officer was one of them.
My grandfather was caught on barbed wire, essentially in no man's land, but roughly where would he have been in the...
I would suggest to you he is probably 20 metres from where we see the crater today, bearing in mind the German front line being the roadway running from the crater to the bottom of the village.
Yeah.
We will have German barbed wire entanglements dotted across that line.
The crater itself is now preserved as a memorial. Paddy Butler has been here before to see where his grandfather died trying to save Colonel Howard.
I mean, when you look at it, it's sheer, isn't it?
For Malcolm, it's the first time.
When you think 100 years ago, and here we are standing here now, looking at the spot where our grandfathers died. Incredible, isn't it?
All the stories we hear, the Germans were over there, the advance was coming this way, and yet this was seen as some sort of point of refuge amidst all the mayhem. There was refuge, there was safety to be found if you can get to the crater. And yet it seems that was quite the reverse of the truth.
Both men are buried within sight of where they fell, in a cemetery in between the two front lines.
I think it's up here, actually. Here we are.
Colonel Howard led 980 men into battle that day. By nightfall, 650 of them were killed or injured.
It seems very close standing here, surrounded by so many who are not named. So many of the stones just say, a soldier of the Great War.
100 years ago, the families met, and after 100 years, they meet again. It's unique and special, I think.
Have we learned anything in 100 years, do you think?
No, not a thing. Still fighting, still killing. And we'll still go on killing and fighting. It's the way the world is, isn't it?
The Battle of the Somme lasted until November, pushing the British front line to the ridge beyond the crater and weakening the German army on the Western Front. The cost in lives between the two sides was almost 1 million men. Gerard Tubb, Sky News, the Somme.